we did it in Franklin, Tennessee, which I'd say is about 45 minutes outside of Nashville. And the idea behind that was no distractions. You know, Nashville was close enough so that we could get to music stores and buy said pedals and heads and guitars as and when we needed them, but it wasn't so close that it would distract us from creating and just bonding with one another and the process. And so it was a close to 2 months time. It was just us in this massive, what looked to be like a Harry Potter house. It was the strangest thing ever, and it was weird, but it was just us and the people that were helping us create this record, and it was a necessary experience, I would say.
Who are some of the other people who helped you create the record outside of the band members?
So obviously, yeah, there's the band members. We had Matt Good, who's our producer. He did the last 2 records with us. He's been a good friend of ours since we were like children. He was on one of our first ever tours. He was in a band called From First to Last, who I actually grew up listening to. Then we had an engineer, a guy called Ben. And our tour manager, Stephen. You've met Stephen a bunch of times.
Many times, yeah.
Our tour manager, yeah, he was there with us because he's just become part of our family. Like anytime Asking's doing something, he's there doing it with us. So, but other than that, that was it. Oh, and we had someone there capturing the footage for. We want to release maybe a documentary, maybe a docuseries. I don't know, but we captured it because we knew it was going to be magic.
And was there, again, the whole idea of going to Franklin was there are not a lot of distractions, but having been there for a couple of months, did you get out and see any of that specific area? There's a great, rich bit of history there. There was a famous Civil War battle fought there.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you see
that
any of
big
that
roundabout with all the cannons and everything that were all there?
Yeah,
we went and experienced that because I've always liked history anyway. Since I was a kid, I loved history. So it's fascinating. But then moving to Charleston and just learning about the history of Charleston, I just found it so fascinating. So when we did go to Franklin, I did make a point of going into that center, that square, and reading about the Civil War and all the movements that happened there and everything. It was cool. Not as much history as Charleston, but history. You know, there were big battles fought there.
Have you ever gotten to any of these historical places? And you've certainly traveled a lot. And maybe this would be best used for Halloween. Did you ever get someplace and see anything or feel anything strange?
That's such a tough one, because to be honest, I think when we sort of became known or had fame in the smallest dose back in the beginning, everything was such a whirlwind. And I often look back at it now and my time traveling the world, and I have so many deep regrets about how I use those opportunities. And I think when you get thrown in at the deep end and you get named rock and roll, and this is what rock and roll is, and I went around the world just drunk, you know, and then, you know, became addicted to drugs, and I squandered so many opportunities, and I never took the time to explore these beautiful places that I was going to. And it's a huge regret of mine. And obviously, since I've not touched drugs now in years, I stopped all that, especially when my daughter came about. And so I've slowly started, when we went on tours, I discussed this with you, I picked up a camera for the first time, and I started going to places and picking up, but taking pictures of everywhere I went. And it was just such a crazy thing for me. And I would say that's the strangest feeling I've felt. There was no one particular place where I felt like, I don't know, paranormal or anything weird, but just finally exploring places and capturing pictures. That was a weird feeling to me, because it was like, I've missed all of this. I can't believe it's taken me this long to experience the world like this.
But better late than never.
100%.
And again, I'm very jealous for the area that you're in Charleston, having traveled there before, because some of my favorite things to shoot are lighthouses and historic cemeteries, and that part of the country has a lot of them there. So, you know, and you can just go out.
We have the oldest tombstone in all of America is just down the street. It's lots of tombstones, lots of old buildings, lots of lighthouses. It's incredible.
Yeah, very jealous. So back to new music.
Oh yeah, music.
How much this is what happens with you and I. We always end up like
whoops, food and photography.
Yeah, and talking about photography and Olivia Newton-John. So
it doesn't get much better.
That's true. Those are some of my favorite things in life. So how much stuff is done, and when are we going to hear things beyond first single?
The record is done. And we had no intentions of releasing it this year at all. And we handed it into the record label, and genuinely they were just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And they were just so excited. They were like, I want to share this with the world. And I was like, well, we want to share this with the world. And they were like, let's go. So everything was put into like fast forward. And obviously Alone Again comes out August 20th, and the record itself comes out October 1st, which is so crazy too, because my son Theo, I could be wrong, it was around the same time, but I think it was the same day my son was born is when Like a House on Fire came out. And my daughter, I'm having a daughter, and she is due to be born the day this record comes out. So that's kind of cool.
If you could time that out, I think your wife might have something to say about this too, but if you could time it out, that would be very, very cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah. So I'm excited. But yeah, it's October 1st. I mean, there's another album. Who knew? I did. I just told you.